Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Chains and Building Dreams, the wrong, the strong way. Today we're going to dive into the heart of Uriangato, Moroleon. It's two small cities in Guanajuato, a beautiful state in Mexico. A place where the culture, the language, the lifestyle were unfamiliar to me at first. And even the gangs and the temptations I faced growing up there. We're going to take a raw look into my past, where every challenge became a stepping stone towards redemption and growth. My name is JC. I am wrong to strong. And this is a true story. It was a culture shock, not knowing Spanish, being American, and just, moving from one day to another to Mexico. And don't get me wrong, Uriangato and Moroleon are beautiful, beautiful cities, towns. The culture, the atmosphere there was even, I guess you could say, it was shocking because I had never seen so many stores. I had never seen so many businesses and music and colors, and it was you guys have to look it up. Look up pictures of Moroleon, Guanajuato. These two cities, it's Uriangato and Moroleon. Their main source is everyone there makes clothing. Everyone there creates some kind of clothes. They've been doing it for years. That's what they're known for in Mexico. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of business. A lot of people come in from other cities, other parts of Mexico to buy clothes or to rob people. There's different crime there. There's the one thing I have to say about Moroleon and Guanajuato is that there was, of what I seen, there was always a lot of money there. There was always a lot of business, a lot of wealth, because I got to hang out with both sides of the fence, the rich and the poor, as I grew up there. And I have to believe that navigating the streets it's what helped me to be able to do that. Go hang out with the poor kids and play and not get beat up or bullied, or go hang out with the rich kids too. The culture in Mexico is very, very different. I think that when I say rich and poor, we get different pictures because we get the pictures from like over here, and I just want to explain something so I don't offend nobody. In Mexico, the people are a lot more, life's a lot harder, even with money. So just because these kids were rich didn't mean that they were soft. They were actually some of them were very violent. Some of them were, good people. Some of them were fighters. There's good and bad apples in every crowd, and the rich, the poor, and the good and the bad, and everything. So, there was different kind of gangs there. There was, gangs that were mostly all kids that were rich, and they would fight with the other gangs of the kids that were poor, and they would meet up and fight, and I want to say it was a city that was very Americanized, because a lot of its residents, had been to Mexico. A lot of its residents had been to United States to work and had come back home, because back in the day, I explain this to a lot of people, back in the day, the tradition for a Mexican, like, the main thing would be to come to the United States, work, leave, save up, leave and go back to Mexico where they were from. It started later. Like my grandfather ended up staying in Chicago, never ended up going back. But every year we would go back. We would drive back every year to Mexico to where we were from. I mean, we still have a house there to this day. And the reason why I'm talking about my town there in Mexico is because I came I read an article on my great grandfather, and about just reading it made me proud to be in Almanza. I didn't realize that my great grandfather was a businessman, an entrepreneur, a author, a politician, a just a man with morals and dedication and discipline and consistency that helped build a city. And I didn't know who I was for a long time. I didn't I didn't know my family on either side, because when I moved there, it was a little overwhelming because I experienced like a lot of like love from my aunts, my uncles. My family in Mexico was very, very big and just different. It wasn't like my dad's brothers and sisters. It was, and my mom didn't really have family, so on my mom's side, it was just my grandfather that ended up passing away when I was in prison in Mexico. But my mom's side of the family was in Uriangato, and we had some tias in Moroleon, Los Vieira. That's how you say his last name. But it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was, I have to say that maybe those were the best years of my childhood. Like, were, to a certain extent, I felt safe. I was experiencing a lot of love, a lot of, places that I got to go. My aunt used to own the movie theater in Moroleon, and it was cool to just walk in and go into the movie theater because she let me in every time. I was always running the streets with my friends, and she would let me in. A lot of my aunts had talleres to make like licras, pants. I tell people that a lot of the fashion culture comes from Mexico, and a lot of people don't believe me, but it's because a lot of it comes over there because it ripples down from all the people that are coming from all over the world that land in Mexico. They were wearing leggings in Mexico since back in the day when I remember, because I made a lot of leggings back in the day. They were just made out of a different material, string. But I mean, that's what those two cities do. The two cities, Uriangato and Moroleon, that's what they dedicate. I want to say 90% of the population or 80% of the population is about making clothes. I come from a family of, panaderos, clothes makers, businessmen, dentists, doctors. I come from I come from a good family. I just never took the time to get to know them or even spend some time with them. But, after I read that article a few days ago, I contacted one of my uncles from over there, and I told him, I was like, Theo, I'm sorry that I tarnished our name. That's how I felt. I didn't say that in those words, but I said I really want to get to know who my family is. and what they stood for, and their morals and my culture. Because when I was there, I was already very highly damaged, and me being there, and the culture is very different. So me being a male, in my house, my sisters really didn't get to do nothing, but I got to do whatever I wanted. So, I started hanging out with older gentlemen. I started hanging around with good and bad people. I have to say that God's always had his hand over me, and I've always managed to have good and bad people. I guess the good angel and the bad angel, right? But I always chose the other side. My eyes were blind. I was hurt. I had a lot of pain, and I always chose to hang out with, the bad people, I guess. And that's where I tell people I got involved with gangs in Mexico. I didn't start getting involved with gangs in Chicago. Like, there was already gangs in Uriangato. There was gangs in Moroleon. There was La Joyita, Los del Infierno, Chiquilladas. There was Latin Kings over there. There was already American gangs when I was over there as a kid. And I got to see where people would meet up and just beat the crap out of each other. Here and there, there was gangs. Here and there, people got stabbed, but it was very, very rare. It was all about just who was tough. It was showing dominance. It was showing who was the boss, testosterone, and especially between poor and rich, there was always fights like that. And I remember gravitating towards this dude. His name was Juan, and he was a Latin King from Joliet, Chicago. And he was on the run, and he started a little branch of Latin Kings in Moroleon, and that's who I started hanging around with, and I started carrying guns because he brought that American culture with him to Moroleon, and the fights started getting worse and worse. That city has changed a lot. Today there's a lot of cartel people. There's a lot of crime has changed, and it's just like any other city, where there's businesses and money. Crime changes, crime gets worse, and it is what it is. It's life. These are the years where my relationship with alcohol got really bad, because since I was the man of the house, even though I was very young, I got to do whatever I wanted. So I was always at nightclubs drinking. Even at that age, they don't card. I would just be with older guys, and I would go in there and start drinking, and I already knew what sex was, so I was constantly doing stuff, even though I was so young, believe it or not. It's what I call when I say that I my childhood was stolen, because I really never got to be a kid, and I feel that because of what happened to me, and then choices that I made, and just everything. I guess you could say throughout the years I became immature because of that reason, because I never really got to be a kid. Alcohol became almost like a lover from that day on to me. It gave me courage. It made me want to dance. It made me want to fight. It just did everything for me. So, I thought I had discovered the potion, as being young, it's what did it for me. And my life started changing from that day on. Um, Today, as I sit here and I remember just everything, how my family treated me, how everyone tried to pitch in to help everyone. And I was already damaged. I was already on a different level. But I do have to say that I have to give a shout out to like my aunts out there, my uncles. I had these two friends, Tito and Balo, and they owned this taco restaurant called Los Pinitos in Uriangato, right off the freeway. And they were like my best. I can't say they were my best friends. His dad took me in like I was just like one of them, and he would feed me. I would have to work, we would work. They had tables they would set up for parties and chairs, and they had the restaurant. And as long as we were working, he would always feed us and give us money. And there were some really good friends. God has blessed me with some good people in my life. At the moment, I didn't know how to take advantage of it. I didn't know how to appreciate it. I didn't know how to enjoy it. I reflect now on my upbringing and going to visit, Uriangato and Moroleon, and I remember my family. My grandfather that's no longer here. That really affected me. He was somebody very key in my life, and to come home and nobody wanted to tell me that he had passed away, because they knew how he was like that one man in my life. And then that's something that I have to live with. My other grandfather that I love so dearly, he got to see me, and he got to tell me that he was proud of me. I was no longer behind bars. I started this podcast because it's, to me, it's all about like breaking the chains and just building new dreams, like new habits, a new life, and just learning to live life. I'll never forget where I came from and the people that helped me, but also I won't forget the people that I hurt along the way, and the people that I misjudged, the people that I did judge, all that stuff. It's I guess you could say it's beautiful to start to mature and see life in a different way. It's different because now I sit here and I'm like, wow, that poor kid, he didn't have a clue. He had so much pain. He was carrying so much on his shoulders that he didn't even get to be a kid. Today, I have to say that God has given me back a lot of things. And I have to believe that one of them is how I act. I act like a big kid. I am a big kid trapped in this grown man's body. I was riding my motorcycle yesterday, and even just that, it makes me feel like a little kid. And I get emotional because he put me back together. He showed me how great his love is. It keeps changing my life. He keeps bringing these stories into my heart to share. I hope that one day I make my family in Mexico proud. That one day they said, man, ese Julio, he messed up, but he got it together at the end. Thank you for joining me on this journey down memory lane today. If my story resonates with you, or if you know someone who could benefit from hearing it, don't hesitate to share it, please, or comment and spread the word. Your support fuels our mission to make a difference, especially in the lives of those behind bars. We're not teaching just fitness in prison. We're molding future, installing hope, and preparing men and women for a successful reentry into society. If you're moved to contribute, please consider donating to our GoFundMe. Every dollar goes towards empowering those individuals with tools needed to change their lives through personal training and the USP Max program. So don't forget to sign up, leave a comment, share this episode with a friend. Together, we can continue to break chains and build dreams the wrong to strong way. I am JC. I am Wrong to Strong. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next episode.